Hello fellow amateur golfers, it's Matt here at Golf Geeks HQ. I hope you're well. So in today's video I am going to talk about the Golf Geeks condition grades on our website. So when you're purchasing a used golf club from us, we have 5 grades of condition, and we thought about this long and hard because there's lots of ways to grade second-hand golf clubs. You can number them, you can star them, you can give them all sorts of different names or symbols, but in the end we decided on a simple 5-worded grading system. Okay, and it starts at X display and moves through from to X demo, good, average and below average. Okay, those 5 grades are how we value and condition our clubs, and I'm going to go now and explain a little bit more into what each one of those means, so you know exactly what you're looking at when you get onto the site. Okay, so starting at the sort of top end and moving backwards, our top grade of condition is X display. Now, what does X display mean? So X display means that this club has come from one of our PGA Pro Shop partners or golf retailers, and is basically a club that's been on display for sale. Okay, so it's been subject to people picking it up, looking at it, touching the grip, looking at the head, taking perhaps the head cover off, putting it on the ground, shop swinging as we like to call it, where if the room is big enough, people like to sort of have a little swing with it in the shop, but for all intents and purposes these clubs are basically new. Okay, they may or may not have the original wrapping on the head and or on the grip. Some will, some won't. It just depends what situation they've been in. But none of them, to make the X display condition, show any signs of damage from hitting a ball. So the face will show no ball damage at all. Now, sometimes and you've probably seen it, we're all golfers, you'll know in a pro shop that they will sometimes tape a stock item up and let you go out onto the range and perhaps have 4 or 5 hits with it, or perhaps if they have a bay in their shop they'll also let you do that. Now, if that's done properly with the proper condition of tape, once the tape is removed, it will be impossible to tell that that club has hit a ball. Sorry, so that would still fall into X display as long as we can see that it has not been used. Now, as I said earlier, these are the highest grade, and some of the sort of sharper among you may think to yourself, well, hold on a minute, Golf Geeks have told us before that they don't sell new equipment, and that is true to a certain degree. Okay, what we don't do is we don't offer new golf clubs with loads and loads and loads of options. Okay, so we don't offer the same club with different shaft options, with different grips, etc. Whatever you see on our site is the shaft and the grip and the specification that came to us from that particular PGA retailer. Now, it's a service that we offer our PGA shops, okay, and so what often happens is a shop may switch from one manufacturer to the other in terms of what they're going to stock from one season to the next, and so they'll have an amount of unsold stock from the previous year, and that's when we step in to help them raise cash flow and get rid of that stock because they don't want to stock it anymore. Or it may be that you'll see we have quite a bit of X display stock of what I would then call old model. So if a manufacturer brings out a new product, what was the current product until that launch suddenly is the older model, and so a lot of pro shops don't want to stock that alongside the new model, because their job is to sell new equipment. So it may be at that point that they then come to us, and we're there as, you know, as their trade partner to offer them a good fair price for what's now the older model club, even though it's new, and it will end up with Golf Geeks to be sold on. So I hope that makes sense. And there is, albeit a little bit subtle, there is a differentiation there between us selling you new with lots and lots and lots of options, and just what happens to have come through from our trade partners. Now the next one down is X Demo. Okay, so there's a lot of demonstration clubs out there in the network, where the manufacturers will give a certain amount of clubs to each shop to give to you if you were going to buy new to go and try in the bay. And now I've seen a whole host of conditions of these, but usually or what we certainly call X Demo is a club that shows very little wear. Okay, now lots of clubs, as I said earlier, will actually tape their demo clubs up to protect them from being overly damaged whilst being tested, and so they will sometimes show light signs of being used. So X Demo is our second highest category. So if you're buying an X Demo club from us, you can be safe in the knowledge that that it's of a pretty good standard. If a club comes through to us that was a demonstration club, but it show heavy signs of wear, it would not go on the website as X Demo. Okay, it would be graded further down the list. Just because it's been a demo, it doesn't mean that that is how it will be sold. So you're fairly safe in the knowledge that X Demo is our sort of second highest category behind X Display. Now the next two are the core of our stock. Okay, the core pre-owned golf club stock is going to be in good and in average. Okay, now good means it's a used club, it's perhaps a few years old, so it's not current or the last current model, it's 2 or 3 models back down the line, but you can tell it's been well looked after or has had very little use, and that would fall into the good category. Okay, now a large chunk of stock will be an average, and what that means is it's fair wear and tear, exactly what you would expect of a used golf club that's been used. Okay, it's been out there, it's done its job, it shows some signs of wear that every golfer gets, whether you're a pro or a 36 handicapper. You know, you are going to get scuff marks, you will get the odd little, you know, scuff here, there. These things happen. Okay, but if it's a fully functional golf club that's still got plenty to offer to its next owner, but has got some signs of fair wear and tear, it will fall into average. Now the below average category is our lowest category of condition. Okay, and this will be golf clubs that show pretty, what I would say, over average wear. Okay, they are, however, and I want to make this point, still serviceable and functional. So they, if you put them in the hands of a decent golfer and he makes a decent swing, they are still going to do their job. But when you look down at them, they're perhaps not as aesthetically pleasing as the other grades, because you can perhaps see some marks on them. You can see perhaps on the 7 iron if it's an iron set, or on the pitching wedge, for example. So clubs that get used a lot at the driving range, that they've got some sort of heavier than would be expected wear on the face. But again, they're priced accordingly, and they are and they will still do a job. Now anything that falls below this, so anything that's got that's dented or heavily scratched, marked, delaminated, has heavy what we call shaft rub, which is where there are marks on the shaft more than sort of a couple of centimeters that you would expect just from a normal golf club being in a normal bag. It will get some shaft rub, but if there's anything worse than that, if there's any damage at all, so to the hosel or you know, anything that will affect the performance. I'm more interested in the performance than the aesthetics, although aesthetics comes into it a lot when you're grading it. But when you get down to the bottom end of our spectrum, so below average and average, these guys are still performing as you would expect. So you can still buy safe in the knowledge that while it may be aesthetically a bit more worn than some of the higher graded, more expensive clubs, it still will do a perfectly good job for you. I hope that's been interesting, guys. That's how our grading system works. I will put some pictures in the video here as I talk through of examples of each one of these grades so you can see for yourself. But on the Golf Geeks website there is at least 10 photos of every single club that we're selling, whether it's one club or a set. There'll be 10 photos at least, and we're very open and honest when it comes to marks and defects, etc. So you should be able to see exactly what you're buying before you purchase. I hope that's been helpful, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, Golf Geeks.